So this world is insane. And it's the kind of world where people are just so over the top evil that people out there exist, and not everybody is like that. I try to keep positive. I can't be bitter and angry all the time. I don't really like to be that way, even though a lot of things make me upset. And I allow the upset, because if I don't, I'll be upset all the time anyway, because I'll be stuffing, stifling it. So, I'm just baffled right now because I just watched this amazing video, and I'm not gonna like try to, hijack it, but it's this awesome woman named Izze that I know on Twitter made this video. She talked about what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp when she threw the vodka bottle at his hand, severing off the tip of his finger, shattering the bones. I talked about that in the last video, where I referred to the statement, but it hit me when I was watching this video. Holy shit. This woman set Johnny up to look like the crazy one who cut his own finger off in a fit of rage over some kind of jealous fit. Something about Billy Bob Thornton having an affair with Amber. And I remember at the time, I suspected, I was like, it doesn't make sense. First of all, it didn't look like Johnny's handwriting on the mirror at all. And the whole thing, if you cut off the tip of your finger, obviously the finger's not, it's going to be gushing red, and it's not going to be, easy to just dip it in paint, and have that be able to write something legible on a mirror, be blood spurting everywhere. I don't care what anybody says, it just doesn't make sense. But so I would always question this anyway. However, whatever happened with his finger, I always suspected something to do with her. I mean, I just always did. It's funny, Amber's like obsessed with cell phones as weapons. She blamed, like the way she described, she said something like Johnny grabbed a cell phone, Amber's phone, I guess, and smashed it against the wall, and it cracked, the plastic of the phone cracked, and that cut his finger off. That's what I read in one of the articles or statements or whatever it was, 2016. What? Like he's going to smash the phone, and then friggin', plastic is going to cut his finger off. But for her to set him up, like that, and try to make it look like he mutilated himself because he's sick and he's twisted, he's mentally ill, which is everybody's saying he's twisted and just disparaging him. And just one more reference to Izzy's video, she talked about mental illness, which I live with every day. Well, a lot of people do, and there is a stigma around it. There is a, reluctance to talk about it because everybody's so shy about it anymore. It's like you can't really even say anything anymore without people getting, ew, don't get any on me. I'm just sitting here. I feel like I had to say something about the fact that this man went through so much, and it's not fair. Amber Heard just is malignant. She's malevolent. And she's out there talking like she's spreading messages of truth and hope and inspiring young girls, and going and doing these appearances at International Women's Day functions. She did something the other day at a International Women's Day, ceremony or whatever, and she got up there and talked. Why are these people, you know, like, I'm just hoping that it hits these people in Human Rights Campaign and L'Oreal or whatever else, Civil Liberties Union, and they strip her of all the titles that they gave her. I mean, this is the kind of narcissist that can just make you want to scream or cry, but survive. It makes me just so sad for Johnny Depp, but it also makes me prouder of him, literally, than I ever was before. And you want to talk about strength. I mean, it can't be easy. And people go on about, you know, I mean, one more person talks about Johnny Depp's drinking. I am prepared because, you know, I think I'm going to compile a whole bunch of videos, and I'm going to make a video of all the times Amber Heard was drunk. I have to do this. See, this is not about just carping on the negative anymore. You can't do that. You can't tell somebody not to talk about it anymore. It did not feel right when people would say, don't talk about it, just don't talk about it. Yes, I get it. Johnny wasn't talking about it because he wasn't ready. And obviously the NDA prevented him from actually saying anything in interviews anyway. But he was trying to move on. And yeah, I get it, you know, and I was balancing it out with, like, you know, moving on with him. But also, you know, because Amber did not shut up ever, and the media never shut up ever. And it was always being made current. I mean, if it had just gone away after the divorce was final, sure. I'd have been like, yeah, great. Phew, thank God it's over. But anyway, enough of that. It's just, I find myself, I'm not even sure if I'm going to put this video up, but I just find myself not wanting to just say this on Twitter in a you know, two-dimensional way with the written word. I wanted to express, you know, just holy fucking shit. It just baffles me how we can be, you know, this human race. We're not made to be these people. We're not made to be these monsters. We're not supposed to be these monsters. At least I don't think we are. It just doesn't make sense. You have to be real. I mean, it's mental illness. There are mental illnesses, and then there are people that make choices. You can't blame it on mental illness for everybody. Narcissists. Ollie Matthews said this a long time ago, and it made me think. Yeah, sure, there's narcissists do have chemicals missing in their brains. But, you know, you can't just say, oh, well, they can't help being narcissists if they have chemicals missing in their brains that can prevent them from feeling empathy. They may not have fully developed chemicals, but they can learn how to use them. It's not completely impossible, actually. It's not like they're completely missing. I have to read up more on it. But there are actual therapists that are saying that narcissism can be worked with if you really want to do that. And, you know, every video that I've ever read is like, narcissists don't want to heal. But I saw a therapist this past Tuesday, and she's a new therapist, and I think she's going to be really good. She said that there's actually a difference between just plain narcissistic personality disorder and sociopathy. And I have to keep that in mind. I mean, I talk a lot about narcissists, but I think the correct terminology, and I'll remember this from now on, is narcissistic sociopath, or narcopath, or just plain sociopath. That's why I was talking a lot about sociopathy and sociopaths in the last video. I made where I talked about Johnny and Amber. And Amber is the worst kind of sociopath. And as I speak of this, you know, I will be fact-checking myself to make sure that I have the right word, because there's also psychopath. But I think you all just know what I mean. It's not, I mean, yeah, it's important to get terminologies right, but it's also important to know what we're dealing with. Regardless of what you call it, the point is to know, like, what kind of person this woman is. You know, Amber Heard is just vile. I hope that she gets the same shit that Johnny got without the roles. I mean, Johnny kept working because the people knew. Even Warner Brothers or whoever, Disney, they knew that you know, he has such a huge fan base. And that was pretty much why, although there was other things too. He had, like I said to you, like J.K. Rowling would not have endorsed him ever if she thought he was guilty. I just can't see it. I'm pretty sure he sat there and showed her his evidence. Actually, he, you know, I stand corrected, he actually did. It sounded like, you know, in that last interview he did where he talked about being falsely accused, and J.K. Rowling knew it. There's no way he didn't actually sit and talk with her and say, this is what happened, but I can't say it in public because of the NDA, but you need to know. So, I guess I just want to give a shout to Johnny Depp, my fellow Johnny Depp supporters, Izze, Autumn on Venus, Jamber News. Well, Jamber News isn't really up and running anymore, but Dr. Fuck You, I think, is still, that's run by a woman by the name of Haley, who is on Twitter. We follow each other, and someone else too. God, there's just so many. Betweight I talked about last time, but yeah, people like Autumn on Venus and Izze and others who are making, and Brian, my friend Brian, you know, that Brian fella, aka Incredibly Average. That's his channel on YouTube, Incredibly Average. And these people are great. I don't feel as alone just knowing that these people exist. You know, and we all, you know that you have to research. You have to really look between the lines. When somebody is accused of something that big and that huge, you know, it's necessary. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, you know, I mean, that whole thing, but it's, you know, imperative. It's you have to do it. There's no, can't just, it's not just optional. You have to give them due process. Otherwise it's just, why? Anyway. And a shout out to Johnny Depp again and his family. I love you. You're amazing. And I respect you so much and your strength. Keep soldiering on. Keep hanging in there. And all of you did the same. And so will I. Namaste.